There's a YouTuber that named Nick Shirley who went around to a bunch of daycares in Minnesota and basically had him and this older guy went around to all these daycares and knocked on the daycare center doors and was like, "Hey, can I come into your daycare and see the kids?" And it's like, and I gotta admit, I was convinced for a solid hour that this fraud was really like rampant. And again, I'm still like, this is a really great story because it shows how divided we are as a country and how the truth isn't real anymore. Like, depending on what kind of media you consume, you might just assume that this is a story that's like legit, right? Huge fraud scandal being blown open by this YouTuber. That's one half of the country is seeing it as that, and the other half of the country is seeing it as this right-wing ICE content creator going into Somali daycares to film the kids. If it is true that the Somali community in Minnesota is defrauding the Minnesota taxpayer with these fraudulent daycare centers that aren't real, is that bad? Yes, it is. Do I think we have bigger problems to focus on? Yes. You know who else is defrauding the American taxpayer? The Pentagon. The Pentagon. The Pentagon hasn't passed a fucking audit. The Pentagon, you want to talk, you know what? All you motherfuckers that are mad about this alleged Somali fraud with the daycare centers, billions of dollars in taxes. The Pentagon misplaced $2.3 trillion with a T. This guy goes into the daycare center and they won't open up for him. And he's like, "You don't even run the daycare center. You're defrauding the American taxpayer." It's like, guys, I went to daycare. Even if it is an operational daycare center, it's still fraud. Defrauding the government by running 10 daycare centers in a building is the most red-blooded American shit I've ever heard in my life, bro. Running an entire building of daycare centers and there's typos on the buildings. I'm not even sure if it's a real story or not because my head is so fucked and the media is so fucked. But if it is a real story, I hope it's real and we shouldn't put them in jail. We should make them give them political office. Put them in the government. You know what we need? We need a kid with a camera, not just to go after the Somali daycare centers. Let's get a kid with a camera, send him into the Pentagon. Can we get a Nick Shirley for the Pentagon? And you want to know why there's no Nick Shirley to go into the Pentagon? Because he would get shot in the head. If you send a kid with the camera, a kid holding a GoPro into the Pentagon, you'll never see him again. If you send a kid live streaming on Twitch within 500 feet of the Pentagon, he's going to be hanging by his feet in Gitmo. Okay? He's going to be going like, What's up, YouTube? My name's Nick Shirley. The next people we're going to investigate is the Pentagon. If you want a career in 2026, you start a podcast, you run a fraudulent daycare center, or you expose the daycare center fraud. Those are your three options.